حي على الفلاح.
إذا الأمجاد قد عظمت فللأمجاد بانيها.
The heroes of Islam, those are the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu, Abu Sibtain, Abu Rayhanatain, Abu Turab, Abu al-Hasan, من أسبق السابقين إلى الإسلام رضي الله عنه، ابن عم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم صهره. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he was the first cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Their fathers were brothers. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he was the young man. Allah granted him the favor that he grew up in the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there'll be much differing, there'll be so many groups of Islam, there'll be so many sects like today, what is the solution? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Alaykum bi sunnati, follow my sunnah, wa sunnati al-khulafa ar-rashidin al-mahdiyyin min ba'di, and the sunnah of the four rightly guided khalifas after me, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali." Bite on to that sunnah with your teeth. Bite on to the sunnah if you want to be saved from the calamities and trials which are happening today. Bite on to the sunnah if you want to stay on the straight path. Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam got him married to the best of his children, Fatima binti Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa radiyallahu anha. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to love Fatima more than anyone else. And Fatima, when she would come to visit the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would stand up to kiss his daughter sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ali ibn Abi Talib, this young man, he came to propose to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was shy. He was poor, he had nothing. The dowry he paid in today's money is less than $500. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam got him married. Then he said, "Ya Ali, you know that there has to be a walima though." So Ali radiallahu anhu, the Sahaba, they had to help him. Uthman and the rest, they helped him to make the walima. A young man who was poor, but he was one of the best young men. The Prophet ﷺ chose him for his best daughter, radiallahu anha. Ali ibn Abi Talib, his best names which he loved most was Abu Turab, the father of the dust or the sand. This is when one day the Prophet ﷺ went to the house of Ali and Fatima, looking for Ali ibn Abi Talib. And this hadith is in the Sahih. And he did not see Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he asked Fatima, "Where is your cousin? Where is Ali ibn Abi Talib?" فقالت, so she said, "Ya Rasulullah, there was something between me and him, like a husband and a wife. And he became angry on me, so he left." So the Prophet ﷺ, he sent people to look for him, and they said, "Ya Rasulullah, innahu fil masjid raqid." He is in the masjid sleeping. When the Prophet ﷺ went, he saw him, he had put his cloth on the dust, on the ground, and he was sleeping and some of the sand on his body. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, "Qum ya Aba Turab, qum ya Aba Turab." Stand up, O father of the dust, stand up. And Ali radiallahu anhu, he used to love that name. He used to love that name. We know his courageous part, the bravery he had. And how should he not be brave when he grew up in the house of the most brave of all people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam left for the Hijra, in that night, him with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he left Ali ibn Abi Talib to sleep on that bed. And in the morning when he woke up, they beat him up. But he had that courage, then he left for the Hijra. What is mentioned more is his courageous part in the day of Badr. Yawm al-Furqan, Yawm al-Taqa al-Jam'an, the day when everything became clear, the day when Islam gained real victory, the day of Badr. When the Quraysh, they came out, just showing off their might. The superpower of that time in Arabia. They said, "We are going to go and destroy this religion." 1,000 and more men. The Prophet ﷺ had 300 or plus men. That's it. They came out. And Utbah bin Rabi'a, one of the leaders of the Mushrikun, he came out and he said, "Man yubariz, who's going to go for a duel? One-on-one fighting." And he came out, Utbah and his brother Shayba and the son of Utbah, al-Walid bin Utbah. And they said, "Who's going to fight with us?" And 3 of the young men from the Ansar, the people of Medina, they came out. And they asked, "Man antum, who are you?" They said, we are children from the Ansar. They said, la, we don't want you. We want those Muslims who came from Mecca. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he selected. He said, Qum ya Ali, stand up Ali. Qum ya Hamza, stand up Hamza. Qum ya Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Harith, stand up. And Ali radiallahu anhu and Hamza, they didn't take seconds, they finished off their duty. Radiallahu anhu. And they are the ones Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verse in Surah Hajj, هَذَانِ خَصْمَانِ اخْتَصَمُوا فِي رَبِّهِمْ. That is about Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. In the battle of Khandaq, when the Yahud and all of the Mushrikeen and the Bedouins had all come to destroy Islam in Medina, and the Muslims built a trench around Medina. The Mushrikun, afwan, they had someone called Amr ibn Abd Wud. And he used to be known in Arabia from before Islam, one of the great warriors of the Arabs, Amr ibn Abd Wud. They found a way in the trench and they came down. And they started teasing the Muslims. And he started to say, who's going to fight me? Who's going to fight me? Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. They know him. He's Amr ibn Abd Wud. Then Ali, he stood up and said, I'm going to fight. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to Ali, Ya Ali, innahu Amr ibn Abd Wud. That is Amr ibn Abd Wud. He said, wa in, so what? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not because he feared anything, no. He was just reminding Ali who is going to face. Then he said again, who's going to fight me? Ali said, Ana. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya Ali, that is Amr ibn Abd Wud. He said, wa in, so what? And Ali ibn Abi Talib said to him, Ya Amr, you had given a promise that anyone who asks you anything, you will accept it from the Muslims. He said, yes. He said, so I ask you of two things. That you accept Allah and you accept the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and you enter Islam. And he said, La hajat li fi hadha. I don't have need of that Islam of yours. He said, so I ask you the next thing. And Nizal, come down and fight me. And he said, Amr ibn Abd Wud, in his arrogance, he said, I don't want to kill you, O son of my brother. He said, but Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said, but I would love to kill you. He came down and they traded only 2 blows. And Ali ibn Abi Talib struck him so hard that they had his opening. And after that, all of the mushrikun, they returned back because the great warrior was defeated. Ali ibn Abi Talib, after that, the Muslims, they faced Khaybar, the Jews who had broken the treaty with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The morning before they faced Khaybar, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to the Muslims, لَعُطْيَنَّ الرَّايَ غَدًا رَجُلٌ يُحِبُّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيُحِبُّهُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. I will give the flag tomorrow to lead the army. Someone who loves Allah and His Messenger. And that is a great testimony. Allah will give victory through him. Umar bin Khattab, he said, there's no day I wish to be a leader except on that day. Not because of the leadership, because of the testimony that Allah and His Messenger love you. Nobody slept that night. Nobody slept. When they woke up, each of them used to walk in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hoping they'll be given the flag. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Aina Ali ibn Abi Talib? Where's Ali? And Ali was sick. His eyes had suffered a disease. He cannot even see. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded, bring him. When he brought him, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he spat in his eyes, and his eyes as if they never had any disease. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him the flag, and he said, go, but calmly. Ali ibn Abi Talib said, Ya Rasulullah, should I just fight them until they become like us? He said, La. You don't just go to fight. And this is what some people need to realize. Fighting in Islam is not because of fighting. La. Call them to Islam, show them Islam. For Allah to guide one person through you is better for you than the red camels. The red camels was the best property of the Arabs back then. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he went. And the Yahud, they had their great warrior again, Marhab. And he used to boast also. He used to brag. Khaybar knows that I'm Marhab, the one who has unleashed his swords. He's experienced in fighting. Asking the Muslims, who's going to fight? Who's going to fight? Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, he came down. And he said to him, Ya Marhab, أنا الذي سمتني أمي حيدرا كليث غابات كريه منظرا أوفيهم بصاع كيل سندرة. I am the one, my mother called me Haydara. His mother called him the lion, but then his father changed the name to Ali. كليث غابات, I'm like the lions from the jungle. كريه المنظرة, ferocious. You hit one blow, I hit you one destroying blow. And Allah gave the Muslims victory through him. Ali ibn Abi Talib was one of those who got that. Someone who loves Allah and His Messenger, and Allah and His Messenger love him. Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, whoever takes me as his master, as his leader, then Ali is his leader also. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, nobody loves you except a true believer, and nobody hates you except a munafiq, a hypocrite. And we believe our aqidah, like we always say, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was given wahi from Allah that these are the four greatest men: Abu Bakr, and then Umar, and then Uthman, and then Ali. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned how Allah is pleased with them. So why should we not be pleased with them? Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in.